Hello everybody, welcome back to the Daily Kerbal. We continue our Kerbal Space Program missions here today, and we're doing another probe launch and another Osprey launch. This doesn't, of course, at all mean that I'm abandoning Duna now that we've finally managed to start making some serious progress there, having built our first Duna base and finally got the Ike base contract complete. But today I decided that we're going to be doing something different. Got a couple of things there to do, and I actually noticed now that I forgot to pick up the contract, so let me go quickly do that. Didn't mean to go to the tracking station, but whatever. So the next thing that I want to do is a two-step mission to get us out to Eve. And in order to do that, I want to first test out the technology. We have a contract here to put a satellite in polar orbit of Kerbin. I'm going to accept this contract. It's going to be what we're going to try to do next with the next Osprey launch. We're going to use the Osprey reusable rocket to launch a probe into orbit of Kerbin. And this probe is carrying one of the parts in the game that I have never really used, even though it's been in here since, I believe, its early access days, and that's the ion-powered engine. The ion engine is an engine that runs on electricity and xenon gas, like a minuscule, tiny amount of xenon gas, but obviously it burns through electricity pretty quickly, and like the downside of it is that the thrust is extremely low, lower than a liquid fuel engine of that size. So even though the probe itself is very tiny, the propulsion that we're going to get out of the Dawn engine is very small. So because I don't actually use it that much, I want to find out what it's like, because you can show me all the numbers and I'm going to be able to know, based on those numbers, how powerful the rocket is in relation to other engines that have similar numbers, but I'm not actually going to really understand it truly until I try it and see it in practice. So that's what this launch is for, to put a Dawn engine into orbit and see just how well it does. So without further ado, throttle is up to maximum, SAS is on, fuel gauge is visible, and liftoff. Osprey 2 rocket carrying the ion-powered probe on its way to orbit. Speeding up nice and quick. You can kind of cut down on the throttle there after our initial push. We are tipping slightly westward. I'm going to try and counteract that ever so slightly. And then, of course, this mission continues to be my further test of trying to land an Osprey rocket. Even though we have been able to recover most of our Osprey rockets so far with pretty good use. If I can do this, then I'm going to know that these types of reusable rockets are at the very least good for launching probes. And if this mission is a success, then the next probe that we're going to launch is going to be heading out to Eve, which is this star system's version of Venus. I am super late on the gravity turn because I was preoccupied talking. I should not do that. Anyway, it shouldn't cost us too much. Alright. Ideally, once again, I want to kind of hit this stretch of land. Setting down the rocket there would be pretty neat. But if I don't get that far, I do actually have a barge along this stretch of water somewhere. I can try to aim for that one as well. Even though the barge is, very tiny, and there's a pretty much zero chance that I would ever be able to land on it unless I was actively trying, in which case there's a 2% chance for me to do it. I'm not very confident in my skills in general, as you can probably tell, but hey. This is the reason that I don't work for SpaceX. Alright, so we're on a bit of an incline. Be very careful with our fuel. As long as I get up to like roughly 100,000 meters and like 900 meters per second, I say that's pretty good. And well, one of those is going to work for sure. The other one might as well, because that's actually quite a lot of fuel that we have left. I'm thinking that maybe rationing some of the fuel in this rocket is a little bit more important. I could probably have more fuel that I save for descending than I usually do. Yeah, and considering that we managed to get like this fast so quickly. So just because I don't want to have to aim for the, I'll show you where it is here. If I turn this on, you can see that the barge is right there. It would, it's a tiny little speck, and I'm not even on course for it, so I'm not even going to bother. I'll just aim for the dry land. There we go. That's the last of our fuel, and oh, that's not going to make it. That's going to land in the water, obviously. But approaching our apoapsis, I'm going to deploy right around here. I'm going to deploy the next phase of the spacecraft. There we go. That's the probe. And this is the rocket that's supposed to take it out into orbit. So, pointer in the right direction, and away you go. I think. It is not going away. Hang on. Okay. Let's start burning. And just try to get us into orbit. We got a lot of fuel to do this. Yeah, orbit's gonna be easy. Okay, I do have to keep not this, but this on anyway, so I can keep my eye on the Osprey, see where it happens to be at any given time. And once we get orbit, I will focus on landing the rocket. Orbit achieved. Sweet. It's a very nice circular orbit, too. Look at that. It's pretty good. Okay. Back to the Osprey. I might actually see if I can't land her on the barge. Because I'm not going to land on dry land anyway. So I might as well see if I can't orient us towards the barge. That would require, first of all, it would require me to turn this on. And let's see if I can't use what fuel we have. Turn the RCS on. See if I can't use this fuel to sort of push us in the right direction. It doesn't really look like this is going to be possible. We're going to burn through all the fuel well before we even get near the barge. Alright. See if I can't at least get close to it, though. This is going to be literally all that we have left of our fuel. And we're nowhere near it, as expected. We're going to run out of fuel any second now. There we go. We also should probably be burning very shortly, but I will just in case it works. I'll turn these engines on, see if that matters at all. Doesn't really seem to. We're still speeding up. Our course is definitely not changing. So we're looking at another ocean landing. At this point, all that really matters is to recover the rocket with as much fuel as possible, as much parts intact as possible. So go ahead and deactivate those engines. And just kind of let her burn. It's not going to be a very tough burn at all in this case. Although since we don't have any rocket fuel left, I imagine that the parachutes won't be enough to slow it down. Anyway, here comes the burn. Maybe the monopropellant engines will matter in that case. Alright. See if the guidance system manages to keep it set. There goes the barge, 38 kilometers away. It's a tiny target for me to hit. Oh boy. RCS is struggling. They managed to keep the rocket oriented correctly. All I need is the use of my parachutes. We have 8,000 meters left. Give me my parachutes. Please give me my parachutes. I'm using the monopropellant engines just in case it matters. Come on. Come on. Give me my chutes. Give me my chutes. That might have worked. Might have worked if I hadn't had the staging incorrectly. Like, one of the first spacebar press didn't actually open the parachutes. And I'd made the rocket bigger. Recover vessel. There's nothing to recover. Oh well. That's fine. Just go back to the tracking station. So the rocket recovery was a failure. It's because that I used all of our fuel to try and correct the course instead of using it for what it was supposed to be, which is for landing. Anyway, lesson learned. Now let's just see if the rest of this mission is completable. Right. We still have some fuel left in this stage, so let's begin by addressing the question of the node. Now, we are orbiting in this direction. It wants us to go like that, I think. Yes. So that means we have to burn this way. Like that. That is the anti-normal direction. Yeah, the guidance system on this probe is still very, very weak, so I'm going to have to do this all manually. It's been a while since I've had to do that, huh? I can usually just have the SAS do it by itself. But all the probe cores that I could mount on that with good guidance systems are, I think, too heavy for the Dawn engine. Anyway, let's wait for our node. Should be roughly halfway. Alright, start doing it now. See how our course changes. Keep an eye on the fuel. This should run out very quickly. This is all that's left of the liquid fuel. Also, just make sure that the periapsis doesn't shrink below. There we go. Okay, that's that. So now I wonder why we're stuck on this. I'd like to follow the probe if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay, now let's just keep her steady. Extend the antenna. Extend the solar panels. Just go ahead and do full propulsion. Look at that. We're burning half a xenon gas per second, but the electric charge is draining like crazy. It's kind of the trade-off with this. So we can perform very long burns. Why is this not open? Open it. There we go. We can perform very long burns, but it's going to take us literally forever. Literally forever. At full propulsion, we are barely moving. And this is like one of the lightest weight crafts I think I could possibly build in this configuration. It literally has just basically everything that it needs to stay functional. It's got a comms array, it's got batteries, and solar panels. No scientific equipment, just a probe core. So, yeah. I'd honestly still just rather use the liquid fuel engines. I'm clearly not doing this right. I don't know what it is that I'm doing wrong. I'm not sure what it is that the developers intend this type of engine to be used for. I mean, our course, you know, to be fair, our course is changing. It's just changing ungodly slowly. Okay, new idea. What if I try to get us far away from the planet first, and then try correcting the course? Would that make anything any different? How fast does our apoapsis extend? Apoapsis has got to be like 6 million. We're looking for like a 6 million, 4 million meter periapsis here. Oh, isn't this just riveting? So yeah, I can keep burning for as long as we have xenon as long as we have electric charge. Then I have to just kind of sit around and wait for it to recharge. Might as well just kind of cut here because we're going to go behind the planet soon. So let's just get back out where we got sun. There we go. And just continue burning prograde. Keep extending that orbit. I gotta be frank. I don't see the point. I really don't see the point. Am I supposed to use multiple engines mounted, you know, parallel to each other? I find that hard to believe because the game doesn't have any specific parts for mounting rocket parts this size next to each other. Right? Like it's got like a 3-way adapter for the 1.5 meter parts, or the 1.75 meter parts, but not this one. Well, so basically this episode is complete and utter failures on all levels. I'm not going to get rid of this probe. I'm going to leave it around out here just because there's nothing better for me to do with it. But, I mean, I'm not really sure where to go with from here. I'm not sure whether I should continue to experiment with ion propulsion, see what else I can do with it. Maybe, I don't know, try making a probe with multiple ion engines. That's probably what I have to do. That's probably what I gotta do. In fact, why don't we give that a shot? Like, right now. Okay, so we're trying this again. Put the Osprey back up into orbit, carrying a different probe this time, carrying 4 xenon engines. Let's see how that works out, shall we? Oh boy. Yeah, that thing blasted off into nothingness. Okay. Still using the liquid fuel engine to just finish the orbital burn. Feel like that's a wise choice. Osprey's going to crash down much faster this time, so still going to have to pay attention. It's not going to make it to the barge, but at least this time I think we're going to be able to bring it back. Should probably move the barge a bit closer, if it has any fuel left, because it might not. Okay, this probe is a bit heavier this time, so that might be the reason that we're not getting anywhere near as much efficiency out of this engine as we did previously. That's fine though. Okay, there goes that one. Oh, there go the xenon engines. Let's extend the solar panels. Got 6 of them this time. I'm committed to this. Because, you know, if it doesn't work, then just use more. That's how this game works, right? You just more boosters, more batteries, more solar panels. Okay, we are actually gaining speed at an acceptable level this time, but we're burning through battery power like a Hummer through gasoline. So, again, the idea behind this is, you know, multiple burns that take a long time. And once again, it looks like the ship is not making it anywhere near orbit. You know, I used the larger probe core. If I hadn't done that, then it would have been pushing less weight. That's the problem, isn't it? That I increased the thrust power, but I also increased the weight of the overall craft. It does have a ton of xenon gas. Ultimately, I don't think that's going to matter in this case. So anyway, at this point, I'm just going to make sure that we land the Osprey. It's probably already plummeting now to its... Oh, not yet. Okay, retrograde, please. Let's activate what remaining fuel we have. Alright. Some other probe that's going to go careening into the ocean. So just as well, the skies were starting to get a little crowded. Alright, eye on the fuel. See if we can't keep this burn from destroying us. Looks like we have it under control. Yep. Spinning a little bit. It's a result of the... crap. Yep, the moment I turned the engine off. It's alright, because we're much higher now at a slower speed, so it should still be fine. There go the chutes. Yeah. Coming in much better this time. The craft flips over. It's because it doesn't have enough rocket fuel to slow it down well enough. But at least we can safely say that this is one that we're going to recover. Come on. Whoop, there we go. Alright, it looks like I don't even have to use the engines to slow us down this time. 4 parachutes is more than enough, it sees. Now, I'm wondering if I can just kind of deploy parachutes on these crafts and then, you know, just kind of let them fall back to Earth, Kerbin. Wonder if that proves to be enough. Alright. Just keep us at a nice easy speed, and then recover it before it has a chance to tip over. Please? There we go. Okay. So we got the rocket back. It's a good chunk of the money that we spent on that launch recovered. And we learned a little bit. We learned that in the configuration that I'm using it, ion propulsion is worthless. I'm going to continue thinking to see if, you know, maybe if I hadn't used the Hex model, that large probe core for that, then it would have been better. But really, I feel like it's not worth the effort for me, because I feel like I can just accomplish the same, if not better, results using liquid fuel engines, and I know it'll burn through fuel quicker. And basically, we still weren't able to get a probe out into the designated orbit for this episode, but honestly, you know, they're not all going to be winners. And I'm debating right now whether or not to even post this episode, but I think, you know, it's part of the learning experience, and I have posted most of my hardships up onto the channel as well, so you know what, why not? We're going to let this one roll. It's going to be the next episode. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, even though this was not necessarily the most useful episodes. You know, if you feel like you have the insight that I need in order to be better with the Xenon engines, then by all means, please leave a comment. Tell me what I should do differently. And in the next episode, I guess I'm just going to build a probe that I'm sending out to Venus. Eve, sorry. Sending out to Eve. I will see you then.